Happy Hurricane Milton week.
And welcome back to the Kintsugi Crew podcast.
Episode 2.
Yes, sir. I'm Garrison.
I'm Eric.
I'm Ashley.
You haven't met her yet, but
Special guest for today.
indeed. She also lives in this apartment, so
Yeah, I do not.
we can't get rid of her because she signed the contract, at least.
I'd be getting rid of them before they got rid of me.
I'm like the adopted child, so I don't live here.
Oh wait, I wasn't gonna be on my laptop.
God damn it,
Ashley,
I was gonna be all nice.
degenerate.
You can actually keep that.
Alright.
Doesn't bother me as much.
I was gonna just.
We were talking about stupid topics before this because she doesn't know about the Diddy stuff and she doesn't know about the Epstein thing.
She doesn't know about Diddy or Epstein.
But it's
Neither of them
okay.
are, but
That's okay because I
I
met
choose
somebody.
not to let the news influence my life.
that's
That's
good,
good.
but bad.
That's good. I think it's not as bad as somebody else that I met recently because they are currently in the Army and don't know about the American Revolution. These two argued that, yes, the school system failed them, but they're 26 years old? Almost 27? How the fuck do you not know that shit?
I'm gonna
And
be on.
they-
I'm gonna be on the defensive right here for a
Okay, yeah,
second
sure.
because how you're raised and how you learn are.
But he's a very patriotic guy.
It's
Very
not
A vote
equitable.
for America.
It's not equitable. learning.
But at the same time, if you're not exposed to certain things and you don't go out on yourself to learn, how are you supposed to know information that everyone else thinks is a generalized knowledge?
Okay, you bring up a
That's
good
true.
topic. So I showed Garrison last week that all of our textbooks, they state that Hitler killed himself with his girlfriend in Nazi Germany in 1945, and the US showed up, they were already dead. That has been in the history books ever since. It's never been changed. It's the general consensus, general knowledge that most people are informed about. But you can go on CIA.gov right now, type in on Google, CIA, Hitler, Argentina. It pops up documents stating that they knew he fled to Argentina and he faked his death, and that he never actually did die. But that won't get changed in our history books. So just like everything, I think the education system in its entirety is bullshit, and it's not actually truth or necessarily beneficial for us because they omit the things that could actually help us and just put us into the slave hive mind of working for the large corporations. We benefit them, we make them money, and we work until we die.
The latest year that I could find in those, it's actually true, like I've seen it. The latest time that I could see that Hitler was alive last was a
51?
document of him in 64, which is crazy.
So, you might be correct on the history standpoint, but there's other things that you're taught in school.
I don't think
Yeah,
everything's
no.
bad.
Because
I agree.
We need math,
Oh,
generalized math. at
I don't
least.
think education's
And
stupid.
reading.
I just think it's not perfect. I think it needs to
Oh,
be
no.
reformed in many ways.
But there's nothing that exists that's perfect.
Because of flawed systems. However, maybe it's as an engineer standpoint, there is
Are we
always a
going
perfect
into
system.
Are we going into the school thing right now, or you wanna?
We'll get to that.
We'll save it for
We'll allude
later.
to this later. But
Your
as an
standard-
engineer,
But the only reason you know the definition of perfect is because someone gave it a definition.
exactly.
But the reason that you were saying that the school system's not set to your perfect standard is because it's your opinion of perfect.
It's not equitable.
But it's also
It's a general consensus for everyone to follow to get a baseline education of some value.
you could argue that for a lot of things.
I know. But like that's just my little like if you're gonna say it's not equitable or well, I can't even say the word because
For
It's
each
not.
each person deserves a different level of degree of
It's just,
education.
It
But
just
it's-
isn't right
it's
now.
not.
It's
No.
not. It can definitely be better, and people are just manipulating it and manipulating young people.
But to saying with the engineering brain that we have a perfect system in mind, there's no ideology that is strictly perfect.
It's not perfect.
There is an ideology or more of a, not even an ideology, but a practice of, there is a perfect educational system. Rather than having 30 students per one teacher, very little instruction, having a specific, based on how that person learns, each individual, their brain structure, what they're interested in, their specific areas of their brain that they're more like confident in.
See,
You know, some people write better, some people do math better.
finding that out is a good use of what a test, to test people on what they are interested in. I think though,
But when would you
It-
test them?
before they go to school.
Before they go to school.
So
they
you're
go-
think
you're
you-
saying you're putting a child in a box at the age of 4 or 5, and they're gonna have
No.
to stick that way because
what
that's
No,
what
I
what
never
you're
school
testing.
is.
I never said
That's
they had to
that I
stick
just
that way.
asked when you're gonna take a test. You're gonna be put in a diagram or a train.
But they don't
track.
have, I never said
that
that they have to
mode.
stick there.
No, but when are they gonna be reevaluated? Are
Whenever
gonna
they
be,
want.
They can get evaluated every year.
But
Well,
you're
no,
gonna have
hold on a minute. They don't
students
have to
that
be
are not-
evaluated. I'm saying they just take a test. Like, a lot of people don't know what they want. So I'm saying they could go to those places. I never finished.
Okay, go ahead.
This could be a massive topic.
It is like
It can be a mess.
My idea, I could reform school in many different ways. To lead on this last thought, test kids on what they have interest in, make everything free,
College
Please.
included.
yes.
Fuck paying for college.
Let people go through especially if they don't know what they like, go through those things that their test said that would align with them. And then whenever they want, they can go to an advisor and say, hey, switch me over to this class. A test grade won't fucking say I am gonna be this person or not, or I pass this or not. It should just be like, I personally do not believe in tests especially for engineering. It should all be projects. Everything should be a project.
I'm gonna state right now, just real fast, everything you've stated will not work in a lower elementary.
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
I never-
this is just for.
I was talking about college.
But that you didn't make it clear. So when I asked earlier
Yeah,
when you
sure.
would do it,
That's
you were
true.
saying before. So a 4 or 5-year-old, you want to have them learn that way. When you have students that struggle in
Yeah.
that age, but if you have them take a test,
Oh, I
to
didn't know you guys
where
were
they're
talking about
going.
elementary.
In general, that's
okay,
when the school
let's break it
system
down.
starts.
What would each one of us, if we had the power to reform the education system, what would we do for,
For what
let's say,
school?
elementary, junior high, high, and college? It doesn't have to be really long, just like what would you see for each of these stages in educational life,
I think
how to change it, make it better?
By reforming
that's hard.
everything from the beginning, in this sense. If you go back and look in history in general, you used to have, let's say, kindergarten through 12th grade in the same schoolhouse, but you would never have 12th graders stay that long because they went to work. They started dropping out and working and whatnot. And you would still have 20 to 30 kids to one teacher because it was in small communities. That's
Yeah.
never changed in a sense. And going back and changing that, first off, you're not going to get the employment of the teachers. So you're going to go down in the accuracy of actual teaching, teachers that want to teach. Because
And that could be
Why?
even with the wages for teachers.
Why would you
if we
get rid of
increase the
teachers?
wages?
no, I wouldn't get rid of teachers. It was saying you won't have as many you won't have enough teachers to take them into smaller groups.
Yeah, and I think honestly,
Oh,
that
did you
reason-
say you wanted them in? I didn't hear you. Did you
You
want?
said smaller groups earlier, but you were
I don't know.
referencing college.
When did I say smaller groups?
that might have been me.
More one-on-one. It's not doing 30 kids to
Yeah,
one
that was
teacher.
you.
Yeah.
I don't remember who.
Just
it was.
because I feel when you're one-on-one, I mean, you can learn. I know you mentioned this the other day. ChatGPT, you can learn anything and everything. More than a college degree, you can learn every single college degree that you can get right now through ChatGPT just by asking a question.
I think we're just heated right now because we're going through college and paying money for a class which is not providing us. We both look at our classes in this way, and that is, we go to class, sit there for an hour, get taught something, but that something that we're taught should be something that I see that I can go out and use immediately into the world somehow.
As an engineer.
I am not fully on that same standard as what he just stated. I study something completely different.
For reference,
you
she's
can
cybersecurity.
use your shit every time.
I was about to say, every class that I have taken since I've switched
Very useful.
Very useful.
is everything that I will use, and you can't be taught it because you will actually be sued and put in jail for most of the stuff
Yeah,
if I were to use it on anything other than the secure sites that I have.
She's a good hacker, so.
No,
So
not. No. No.
To-
Legal hacker. It's legal.
this was to more preface what our state of thought is at the moment, at least Eric and I, because we're upset with our school system.
Very.
A lot of people in our class are, and it's just like it's a waste of my money because I went on and just literally used ChatGPT as a tool to learn skills immediately in like 10 minutes.
To add on to this,
It's like
it's the same thing. You know, the understanding of the education system, how I view it, is how it used to be when college first started. Is you would go there to gain insight. It was literally just there to educate. Literally, the whole point of education is to learn, to understand material. How it's built today is not to learn, it's to get money. It's a business, and it's nothing other than a business. They don't give a shit if you learn. They give a shit if they're getting paid, and then if they get paid enough and you go through the curriculum required by the state, you get a piece of paper that says, hey, I endured this, good job, give me a job. However,
but
it doesn't teach you. They don't give a shit. The professors, you have a textbook, but the thing is, they don't enforce, you don't actually read from the textbook. They tell you to, but they give you shit. They give you homework, they give you problems that actually have no real purpose as an engineer. And I'm saying this personally because I've worked in an engineering field. I went through a situation where I worked for a company here in my state of Michigan, and I saved them $1.2 million per year using nothing that I learned from school,
literally
just all from problem solving skills. I saved them that, and this is for a different topic, but they never hired me back. And that's because I tested their system, and I showed them, hey.
told their boss over a butt call that he was gonna touch them.
Yeah, that's another story.
Accidentally.
We'll get there.
You're not going to be hired back over that one.
He wasn't.
I was not hired back.
I don't know if that was the reason.
I don't think it was, because the dude I called, alright, now you brought it up, I gotta talk about it. So,
No.
I was extremely drunk one night. It was the night of first University of Michigan game this season, 2024. And I was at my best friend's house from my hometown. I went over there and I was walking upstairs. I hadn't been on my phone at all. I was just walking up the stairs, phone was in my pocket. Got up there and my buddy's name was Ian. I was like, hey Ian, you know what time it is? It's touching time. Prepare to get violently touched. I pull out the phone from my pocket to check the time, and I'm on a 1.5-minute voicemail with one of the people that I worked with.
Wait. But
High
did
up
you not
engineer.
send it?
It was already in a voicemail. I didn't know what to do.
You were drunk too.
Yeah, I was drunk.
You were
and
drunk too. You
it
could have
was
just
not
hung up.
I did hung up, but it still leaves a voicemail.
Oh. What if you just turn off your phone?
It still leaves
Still?
I
a
still think it
voicemail.
leaves a...
I
There's
don't
only
know.
one
That's
way
what
to
I'm
do
asking
it, but I don't know what it was, and I didn't know at the time as well. So I sent a voicemail to one of the nicest people I've ever worked with. His name was Paul. If Paul ever sees this one day, just know I'm sorry, buddy. Because you are a great guy, you do not deserve that weird voicemail that I left you that night. But still, I saved them $1.2 million a year, and I didn't get hired. Why? Because my
Probably hurt their
understanding,
ego.
I hurt their ego. They have engineers, they pay 5 times what they paid me. And they couldn't figure it out after working there for 15 years. And I come in, it's supposed to take me the whole summer, and I'm not even supposed to be able to solve it. I solved it in the first 2 weeks. I upset some people. I think I cost maybe someone's their job. Because of that intimidation, looking bad, they didn't want me back. Like, okay, understanding that as an engineer or as a company, if you hire an intern that saves you that much money, why would you not want them back? That's a better question. It's not like I called my manager and told him that. It was a butt dial by accident to some other engineer that I was really close with, a nice guy.
I had no idea, bro.
Okay.
That just.
You have to have the right connections, and by doing that, even if you trust the guy, you don't know, in a sense of how much you can truly trust a coworker.
That's true.
So,
Moving on.
good story.
Yeah, that was the reference.
Always touch your friends.
Always.
Sorry, don't be Diddy. Sorry.
Don't be Diddy, but touch your friends. As long as it's consensual.
Sorry. Moving on to the main topic. I'm gonna take a poop break because it's turtling, and then we'll be right back.
To come, venir. So if you want to say in a very bad slang in Spanish, you say, Yo acabo de venir mis pantalones. You say, I just came in my pants. We're back, guys. Garrison just got his shit taken care of.
What the fuck? Yeah, half that time was spent wiping out.
That was a 2.5 minute shit. I timed him. That was the fastest
Wait.
poop.
Oh wait, actual like the full time?
Yeah, 2.5 minutes of total bathroom to out of bathroom experience.
There you go. There you guys know that I'm actually trying to.
He's a pro pooper, man.
Yeah, like wee shitting, pro status. I'm past the stat marker. 2000 XP.
He's top of the leaderboards. Top 1% of shitters over here.
2%.
It's all that protein.
Alright guys.
I have no comment.
That's good. That's good. In the spirit of Mental Health Awareness Day.
Today is National Mental Health Awareness Day, by the way. Day of recording at least, maybe not for you guys.
Our deep topic for tonight's podcast is authenticity. And I got a few like subparts of that we're gonna go over as topics just to kind of guide us. But I'm just kind of doing more topic based instead of question and then
question.
think about it and answer it for a minute, because we kind of were more
we're trying to figure out flow.
With that. Yeah, we're trying to figure out flow.
We're trying to see what works, what doesn't work, and I think more open-based discussion does work, especially when there's more people involved, such as our guest Ashley, which is partially here, partially doing homework.
Oh, sexy music.
Garrison put on baby making music for.
It's always with the boys that you have the most sexual moments.
It's called Late Night Sorrow. Tell me that's not romantic.
It's not.
Hey, shh. It is. Listen to this.
It's made by Toti Cisneros. Tell me that's not a.
Is the bridge is on fire?
No, I just think it's really bright. The album art, look it up, it's pretty cool. Anyway. Distractions 101, ADHD.
But yeah, I thought we were kind of hindered by that format of podcast or flow from the last one, so I'm just gonna do topic, and whatever comes to us that sounds good, and we'll do that. And I'm sure the topics and flow and operation of everything will probably change through time, and I think that makes the podcast more exciting. So, to get right into it, in authenticity of self, being who you think is the best self for yourself. I think the first topic of authenticity should be personality or personal authenticity. And I guess the question is, what do you think would be most important, being your most authentic self personally, and what are some challenges that you've seen in doing that. At least that come up in your mind.
I mean,
Yeah,
I can start first.
Yeah, go ahead.
So who I see as my authentic true self brings up a good point. I ran into a troubleship a couple of years ago. I may have alluded to it in my previous podcast some more, but I came down to the point where I didn't know who I was anymore, and I needed to understand or find who I actually was. Imagine starting square one, not knowing anything about yourself. Where do you go next? And I had that question. So I looked into, okay, well, who do I see as my role models, my mentors, my inspirational people that I look up to become a better person or to become a better version of myself? And more specifically, what are those traits that they equip that, are admirable about them? And my first one was my grandfather. I looked at him. It's like, he was a sheriff up north, Upper Peninsula, Michigan. He was always everyone knew him as honest man, really nice dude, always kind, very simple human traits: honesty, loyalty, respect, just kindness, empathetic. All the good qualities. And what I saw is those qualities I want to have for myself. So my authentic self is just being a truly good person and not changing myself for other people, just always being true to trying to be the best person. And that's what leads me to that. And I might get back to you on what challenges I've faced, because I need to think about that one.
Interesting. Wait, so you're saying... So I guess everybody learns from people they know, traits that they like, or
Yeah.
they learn everything from other people. And
Someone wants,
the best thing is master and apprentice learning, in my opinion.
they see, Superman and how he saves people, and they want to be like him. It's the same type of thing. At least for men. I don't know. Is it the same for a woman's perspective? Who do you look up to try to be a better person?
Or have you had that?
Yeah.
It's not about, or at least in my stance, it's not about exactly looking up to be a better person. It's about when you look at a person. Now, this is probably not generalized. This is probably just how my brain works.
It's fun.
Garrison can contest this. My brain runs sometimes a total different route than most people.
Oh, that's fine.
Perspective.
It's
Still have waffle brains. That's good.
Strip
No,
club?
that's a good thing. That's a compliment.
waffle brain. Is more or less, you can tell by someone's actions right away if you don't like it. It's harder to find the good in someone, especially off of first meeting or whatever.
First impressions.
Yeah.
First impressions go into it, but how they carry themselves, you tend to look at negative in any sense of what you're finding negative, because the negative's easier to see.
Yeah, negative is always the first to come to mind.
And so for a girl, as a girl, I would say you're exposed way more to negative than most people realize. Because you're put into a box and you're expected to fit into the box. Even as society changes and expectations go up and down, it still comes down to the box that you are still you are a woman.
So for you, I guess,
And
is it more social pressure of what you should be is who you fit into? Or do you ignore that?
No, because some of the traits have gone up and down with society of what you should and shouldn't be. You can do whatever the hell you want. It's, to me, I don't try to fit into a social norm, and I don't. I already know it. I will accept. It's not exactly, the be yourself comment can piss me off. Because how are you supposed to know who yourself is when every day you change?
Feel yourself, that's it.
But
that's fine though, that's part of yourself.
But being yourself is a statement of you already know yourself.
Yeah, no, it's just doing what you feel like and not giving a fuck.
So if I...
No, then you would say you have the don't give a fuck attitude. It's not being yourself, it's the attitude you give.
It's being your genuine self without caring how you present yourself, in my opinion. Like,
This is where I'll say it is, you said that in the statement of be yourself, I do agree with that, where it's like you don't know because every day you change. But to be yourself every day and that day changes, the best way to do that is by weeding out what you feel is wrong and then just taking what you think is right. And it's hard every day because it's like we have all career shit and social shit, which we'll get onto later, but like and relationships. But the best way to be our happiest is to, I think, weed out what we don't like. And it's not like you can be yourself, be like this streamlined version of what you think is yourself. It's just, you wake up that day and you're like, oh, this feels calming, or this feels very energetic in my work, or this is really empowering, or whatever. It's not like I have to be this person because. It's just, I don't know, does that make sense?
it does.
Did that
I have a
satisfy that?
piggyback question off.
I don't know. He asked
Let
me
me-
a question.
Let me get a beer, hold on.
Do you guys feel that you are your genuine self? Like, do you feel that?
Me sitting here in my chair.
Yeah.
Not my chair, but the chair.
No, like seriously, like where you were at right now in your life, do you feel like you don't have to know yourself 100%, but you know who you actually are?
Let's
know what
put
you
it this way.
align
It's,
with.
it's not I am myself. It's I'm my strongest version of myself at the moment.
Yeah, that you know of.
Yes, because
okay,
I
I'm
don't
a firm
know.
believer you can always be better, but trying to be the best that you can possibly be at this time.
See, this is where I differ from probably both of you. I've given up on trying to become the best version of myself.
Just accept it.
I'm trying to become okay with myself.
No, that's still part of becoming
In a
the best
sense
version.
of no, I
You
don't.
don't
want,
try
I'm
to
not
get
striving
better,
to
you
be
just-
the best or
Well,
perfect
hold
or
on,
what.
let her finish.
It's I'm okay with my choices every day
Yeah.
because in the outcome of events of every choice that I do make is going to be a small grain of my entire lifespan. And if I, as a college student, am worried about, oh my god, I want to go get coffee for $7 and I only have $20 in my bank account, so what? It's money.
Exactly. It's a mindset.
I would rather have that. It is a mindset, but it also comes down to I'm going to wrap back into how you said if I look up to someone. There are social standards that certain people have expectations in your head and that you're kind of implied towards. Getting good grades, getting what not, should I wear this, should I not wear this,
Yeah.
what's expected of this. It's not exactly, or for me, in a sense, it's not that I look up to someone because I do. I do have people that I look up to, but I only look up to key things that they've done or how they behave or whatnot. It's not that I want to be that person. It's
Just
I like how they handled this situation. I like how this is
That's
adapted.
what we mean.
You look at their actions. Which
Very
is
much.
Key on what you said earlier.
what
Yeah.
they do in a certain situation. You're
Which
like,
is
wow,
good.
I would do this. Like, I liked what they did.
But
I'm gonna try to do that. You know, you fit.
like
Do you have a specific person or like multiple people that like multiple things you notice? Like, oh, you saw them do, you know, whatever it may be. Through an experience, you admired that in some way or another, and now you sort of live.
I
through
admired it, but I'll be honest, I can't replicate it
Replicate.
because it's not mine to replicate.
Okay, so a better question then is not doing the same exact action, but recognizing, give an example, how someone treats someone that's on the side of the road. You know, you can see people, you know, doing terrible things, being mean and homeless, whatever. You see someone go out of their way to, you know, buy them a ton of food or something. taking that in, you don't have to go buy homeless a ton of food, but maybe you're more of a giving person. Maybe you go volunteer or something like
But
that.
I could see it the other way,
How so?
where my grandma decided to give them a gift card to McDonald's, and they went and traded it with another homeless person, and then they went and bought alcohol. Why would she want to give the next homeless person?
That actually happened?
Yes, like it actually
How
happened.
do you
Yeah,
know?
can you?
She was driving, there was a homeless person, she had a gift card and she doesn't go to McDonald's. She gave it to them. And then as she's driving back, she went somewhere, and as she's coming back, as she's driving down the road, she recognizes the same homeless person she just gave money to, get into a brand new 2024 truck, and goes over to another person, gives them the thing, they give him cash, and she watched it because they happened to be in a parking lot of an alcohol store, go in and buy alcohol. It's one of those, by experience, she's now less likely to give.
Yeah.
I understand.
Because it's, how do you trust someone that's acting?
You can't trust anyone.
But at the same, yes and no. You can't trust, but you can trust.
I agree.
Because if you can't trust in general, none of us would be able to sit here and have this conversation.
It's true.
Yeah.
You have different levels of degrees of trust. You always
So
trust yourself.
I didn't like
the
that
most.
example.
That's it.
No, but you bring up a really good point, because I understand exactly what you're saying. You give a homeless man $40, he could say, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna use this to buy myself food and like keep me over, maybe get some like new clothes." But he could go buy drugs. He could go buy alcohol. But it's your trust in that person that they're going to do the right thing. And
I wouldn't say it's trust, it's faith.
yeah, that's like
It's not-
faith is a good
it's
point.
not trust,
It's
it's
like a
faith.
belief. of-
You're surrendering whatever money at that point. Like, you don't have control at that point. You don't have control over anything you gift somebody else.
That's why.
Better example of what you're trying to correlate is one of the things, like, one of my jobs is I officiate reffing, and I was with a fellow female ref, and she was giving her little spiel when we check in the players. Now, we all have our spiel, we all have our way of checking them in. It's just how we organize the checklist of items we must do. One of the things that I took from her that I never really thought about, and how to word disrespect or dissent on the field, is she said to the players, let's put it this way, like, this is what she said verbatim, let's put it this way, I want to keep the pretty colored cards in my pocket. That stuck with me more than any other officials ever said. I'm going to give you, like, we all know the laws of the game, here's what's going to happen, is she's saying it to, I don't know, I think they might have been 13-year-old girls. Let's keep the pretty colored cards in my pocket. Because at that point, you kind of know what we're talking about. You know we're talking about the cards. You know what the outcome is if you get a yellow or if you get a red card. But saying it that way, you're not also, yes, I officiate soccer if I didn't say it.
I don't even remember if you...
I said officiate, but I don't remember if I said the sport.
Red card.
Is a lot of them are going to have more respect for you by wording it in a lighter tone than if you were to say, all right, we're out here to have fun and whatever, and I don't want to hear it today. Like, it's the way you carry yourself and whatnot. And I will say, I have stolen that from her, and I've said it before when it's to the captains or something, and I'm like, I want to keep the pretty colored cards in my pocket. But that's something, a good trait I picked up on of how I remembered something. It's not exactly that I'm mimicking her, it's how I associated the direction of that.
Response.
Yeah. I think that more correlates as an example rather than the homeless does.
No, yeah, I just brought that up because it's the first thing.
That's just where my brain went.
There is
too.
with everything that there could be.
And like it's not that I look up to her because I do. She's older than me, but she said something that stuck with me. But out of how she officiates, it's still always going to be so different than I do because it's the interpretations of the laws.
Well, I think that's true for anything that's inspirational, though. Is like you can, see how someone else does it, but you will always be your own person. You won't be that other person. So even if you try to, I'll say, replicate it very loosely with quotations, you can still do it your way, but by getting inspiration from someone else. And so I think that's still like as part of the whole thing of it ultimately shapes you being your authentic self of what you think is right, what you follow, and what you see other people doing, and how you can use that in your own way to make you feel like you're doing the right thing.
You're building
You're
yourself.
building yourself. You're becoming yourself. And so even if it's something that you can't exactly do yourself, how it affects you, the response of it, that changes who you actually are. And I'm not saying for bad or good, just more into yourself, because you, in your mind, you're like, oh, I like that.
Mhm.
Because you like that, that is yourself. You then put that perspective, it shapes how you see things, it shapes how you interact in the future with that. And you should ultimately, become more you.
I think in the thought of personal authenticity. Alright, so
Welcome back.
we've come to the conclusion that human trafficking is the worst, gun dealing is second worst.
I'm not
You
agreeing.
said okay.
I'm
Drug
not,
trafficking's a word. Or no.
I'm stating right now, I'm not agreeing or denying anything that's said in the next 30 seconds because I did not agree to be on video with this.
Okay. Now, human trafficking is the worst. Like sex
Yeah.
trafficking, human trafficking, that category, absolute worst.
At least that-
Second, selling guns. That is a very bad criminal activity. Third, fentanyl, heroin, meth. Selling any of those, that's pretty shitty as well. Or roofies, because you know exactly what those are used for.
Oh my god, bro.
What's next? Selling.
What's next
Yeah.
is we get back on Pick.
No, I feel information. I mean, our government does that shit, so I mean, that's not
I
too
don't
bad
know.
in the eyes of illegal criminal activity.
I don't know. I mean, terrorism?
That's pretty bad. I'll give
That's
you
a-
that. That's up there.
I don't
too.
know, that's up with trafficking.
Alright, to pivot back to what we were talking
I'm not
about.
How did we
I
get
don't-
onto this?
Sorry, my bad. I started it out on a hot note.
No, you started it off camera.
I did.
Uh,
What did I say?
Yeah, what did
Would you like to join blah blah blah?
He wants to start criminal activity.
Oh man, that's
Yeah, that's how it started.
It was a total joke. but-
Okay, this should all be edited out.
We are
Anyway,
criminals.
it's not being edited out.
We are criminals.
I'm the editor.
And I'm saying this is awful.
Anyway,
We will never get jobs.
Right.
jeez.
Edit this
Goodbye,
out.
DEA
Actually,
job.
edit this out.
Hey,
Okay.
I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom.
I want to be a stay-at-home dad, but I can't make money off of that. So.
to the main point, back to authenticity and personal authenticity. What we think about personal art, like what personal authenticity is to us, and what some challenges with that we've seen.
I know Ashley and I both said.
Yeah.
Ashley, want to clarify what you haven't got to say.
I didn't answer that question. I answered your
Yeah,
question.
she
about
answered-
a role model.
Sorta.
Okay, Garrison first, and then your view on authenticity.
We started the video talking about how Hitler didn't die.
Yeah, can we just cut a lot of this out?
You can save it to laugh at it later. But
Yeah.
No,
we
it's
can laugh.
definitely going in.
Oh god,
It's gotta stay in.
this is how we never get jobs ever in the actual employer.
It's staying in, bro.
I'm never coming back.
My name is Enrique Iglesias. I make music. I don't.
Okay, I like some of the joking, but in general, like sometimes there's stuff that can be said in front of a friend group. This goes back to his like trust thing.
Yeah, you can't post arm movements to.
No, I'm not posting the arm movements. I'll give
Oh,
you
okay.
that.
I was like,
They were this, by the way.
it was
I'm not-
very
I'm not-
clearly a thumbs up.
You don't have to go on the camera. I'm taking this out.
It wasn't a.
great. Okay, thank you. Okay, going back to authenticity. Garrison's going to answer.
I'm just gonna.
Garrison,
Okay,
would you
relax,
like
relax.
to answer authenticity
Answer.
and your
Someone
viewpoint of how
Yeah,
can
give me
you?
a second. Give me a second. So, I think my personal, what I think, okay, I think personal authenticity, like Ashley says, changes pretty often. but you have a pretty good idea of what or who you think you are or what you like. And it also comes down to gut feelings. And I think this is a great challenge that I've seen with my own authenticity. And this stems out to social and relationship and career authenticity. But the main problem and challenge that I've faced is that I generally have not trusted my gut feelings. And because of that, I end up in situations where I'm not with the right person, or I'm not in the right job, or I'm not in the right friend group. I'm not doing the right thing. And my gut tells me you should leave or you shouldn't. Something's wrong. And
Do you trust your gut?
I now trust my gut.
Good.
Because I actually over the summer went through a relationship-ish thing where I thought they were the one, and I kind of just like was like, wow, this person is wowing me. Like, I have not had this happen.
Can I say something real quick?
And
Everything happens for a reason. That's my viewpoint. So you may see specific traits in that person that you're like, yeah, that is the one. That is something that I really want.
yeah,
But then something may also show you, no, it can't be the one. Because X and Y don't equal Z, you know?
yeah.
Whatever it may be. But you learn, and then you can ultimately find someone that matches everything.
But I didn't trust my gut in that last part of that last relationship because I knew what they were thinking. I have this weird, my gut feeling is pretty strong because I usually understand what other people are thinking most times, especially women for some reason, based on a lot of experience. And in the end of that relationship, it wasn't actually a relationship, it was just dating, I guess, getting to know that person. So
The intro stage. I mean, how long were you with said person?
I was with them for like a month.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I got you. Like the intro, understanding who they are.
Yeah. But, and before I went into that, over this last summer, I did promise myself that I would be the most authentic person to them. And such that they could see who I am and I could see who they are. And I told them that straight up.
Okay, I think it's perfect. I can
And
doing that.
because how are you gonna find the right person or the right friends or the right mentors if you are fake? It's just gonna it's gonna fall apart.
I agree.
And that's also a good thing because you want the wrong people to go away.
Yes, that's real shit, and that's something that a lot of you, maybe you already did, but maybe you need to do.
Yeah.
Don't adjust yourself based off the people around you. Don't change who you are to fit in with certain people. If you are your actual self and people don't like you for yourself, fuck them. Get rid of them.
It's hard. I'll say this. Do you have something to say?
No, go
You might
ahead.
forget it.
No, I will remember this
Okay,
line
okay.
that I have.
To go off of what you just said with friends, if you're scared to just like they're the wrong friend group. I've had long-term friends before where, and I think this is the hardest part socially and personally, where you struggle with that being authentic because you've been friends with them for years, and it's like, holy shit, I have all these memories with this person, but I know deep down what they think or their behaviors, their actions, well, with sorry guys, battery died. Back to the topic. Having long-term, unauthentic friends and getting rid of them is hard because it's like, you know that person, you know their feelings pretty well, or at least you should at that point. You have connections with them. It's and maybe getting rid of them isn't like the right thing to do. Like sometimes it's just like limiting and putting boundaries to your interactions with them. And I mean, if it's really toxic, get rid of them. And that's what it comes down to, gut feeling at that point. You know what's right for you, and you know what's authentic. And most times it won't even come down to what is right. It's like, you know what they're saying to you or what they're doing to you is wrong. But sometimes it even comes down to like, oh, if I leave this person, I'm going to lose all this, or they're going to do this thing to me. Good. You're gonna figure it out. I know it sucks, but good. Because after it happens, you're gonna go through it, all those things. Like in school, you're gonna go through studying, you're gonna go through the test. It's gonna suck, but good, because at the end, something else is gonna come along, or some other person, or some other situation or opportunity is gonna come along, and you'll be like, oh my god, I don't even think about that person anymore. It's like, it doesn't even matter anymore. It sucks. Sometimes things last longer than they should in certain situations, but don't worry about it. Because it just doesn't metastate, I can't remember the word, but it doesn't sit in your brain as long as a bad thought does. Because when you're thinking about something might happen, you bring anxiety to it, you're like, it's in your brain longer than like, oh, that's out of my brain, that test is done, that person's gone. It's gone, and you're not going to think about the anxiety anymore. You're just going to be happy because it's done, and you can go live your authentic life and not do the wrong thing anymore.
Following that up, going about authenticity, I think also relates to mindset. How you view things, or how you take your own inputs, take the inputs around you, and what your output is of those things. It's based off of a mindset. Like, who you are is dependent on how you view things. It's not only experiences. Like, there's twins born at birth, really they're almost identically the same. And even though they may live together, they may go through the same things, they still may have a different experience or outlook on things because of their own perceptions of those viewpoints. Even if they're so close to being each other. Where someone that might even say the same shit. Like, oh, think the same thing. Like, I have some friends that are twins, they do the same stuff, but they each have their own perspective on things because of how they viewed. And I think the viewpoints and how you actually look at the perspective of certain situations.
Because I know twins as well. Were the ones that you know or think they changed perception or personality or their authenticity, or at least what you think is their authenticity, because of how they were treated, and because of that they now think in that different perceived way?
So I feel this is a strange example because the twins that I know, I'm really good friends with them, and they are people that they lived a very well life, like a really good family life, like they've had a lot of opportunities, but they're very authentic, but they're both very similar to each other still. It's almost like they were best friends, and so they both, whatever one dived into, the other one dived into as well. But
I know some.
It's almost like if you have like a really good brothership, like if you're super close to your sibling, or like you have a best friend that like you guys just do everything together. It's the same sort of thing where you surround yourself with who you feel comfortable around because they view whatever it is the same way as you view. And I think that, at least in the twins that I know, it's identical. Who they are.
Branch off of your comment there of you going by the comfortability-ness of it.
Of me? My
No,
statement?
his comment right there, he said you stick with someone because you're surrounded by the comfort.
Yeah.
And twins are grown up together, I'm branching off of just the comfort statement on going back to Garrison said, go with your gut and whatnot. And it doesn't portray in a sense of comfort is bad. Comfort is what you trust and what you know. When you go with your gut, 90% of the time, it's change that's against the comfort. And so when you're talking about knowing that it's a toxic friend group, sometimes you're not going to know. Sometimes you're not going to know it's time for change. Sometimes you're not going to know. It's going to hit you.
At some point.
Sometimes it's not your choice when it hits you, is what I'm getting at. It's sometimes thrown at you and you are expected to receive it well. And
everything happens for a reason. The universe will throw you shit.
So it wasn't either you're saying that like them leaving you.
That's not your choice. Well, yeah, in a sense, I could go off of that.
A permanent thing.
No, sometimes some people leave. Some people stay.
Are you going off of an example? I think.
You would connect the dots really fast to that one, but I'm not portraying it to
in that way. Yeah.
I'm not trying to connect it to that one because he's referencing I had a best friend for, good God, was it over a decade? Probably. I don't even know if we hit a decade.
Long time.
Yes, a very long time that
long friend.
We got told told and described very often as siblings. How we acted and how we treated each other in a sense of some things that I saw, or is it what everyone else saw from the bigger picture or whatnot, and we went from one day talking about every little thing to no communication at all. Quite literally in a span of 24 hours, basically. And that's not what I was trying to branch to at all, because I don't like that topic. I don't mind the topic. I will talk about the topic. It's not where I was going with authenticity. It was more or less, we'll go that route. I don't care.
Let me do this, if I can. Because we've heard from both of us. What is your idea of authenticity to you? Like,
to myself?
What would be a challenge that you saw getting to that idea of authenticity?
Authenticity to myself, in my one personal view of it, like it's only my thought process. It's not the stereotypical, or it's not how you two are branching to it. It's not. Authenticity to myself is when you make a choice, you're making that choice based on all of the moving parts in your brain. And every choice you make, whether it's good or bad, or it's right or wrong, it's a choice you make in that split second. Growing up, me and my mom had this running joke. It's not a running joke. She still stands by this. If you are indecisive, you ask the clock. If it's even, you go one direction. If it's odd, you go the other. It's very similar to flipping a coin. But the biggest thing that I've ever taken from that is growing up is the minute you flip a coin in the air, you already know which way you want to go. And you're going to go that route. Authenticity is something that is developed. It's not... It's not you have it. It's understanding this is what makes me me, and this is my choice to make me me. It's not the influential decisions of someone else. It's not you have to fit into this category. But in the same sense, it's okay to have influential thoughts or having other people give input. For example, literally before this video, I brought out 14 different pairs of shirts and pants and hats and whatnot on an outfit I want to wear tomorrow, and I could not decide, and I let these two have input into what I decided. But in the biggest thing, they voted for a white hat. Guess what I'm not wearing tomorrow? A white hat. I'm wearing a different hat.
The white hat was crispy though.
It's a very nice hat. But it came down to my choice of, once I talked it through, is I am very much a person that when I'm making a decision, I like to share. I like to share my thought process. I like to share an input into my mind. A lot of people don't like to do that. Some people say it's giving too much information away. But that's okay, because I can share, I can be an oversharer, and there can be other people that don't share enough. I can't speak on the relationship aspect at all, because I've never been in one. The relationships I witness are grandparents, parents, friends, and that's about all I can talk on, is in the sense of things I witnessed in not something I've experienced. I have experienced having a best friend that I've lost, in a sense. Whether it was the right decision or not, I have lost. I've had it where it's family members you get mad at, but it's not, in my eyes, and I was once asked if I would ever forgive someone. It's not my place to forgive someone. It's my place to accept their choice and my place to move on from it. Whether it's still hurting or not doesn't make a difference, because if someone wants to come back, like let's say me and Garrison get in a big ass argument. He walks away, he comes back apologizing. He can apologize, but my feelings, or if his feelings, one of us will still be hurt from it. It's not that trust has been broken, because trust probably was broken, but at the same point, I do believe trust can be rebuilt. But you've lost a sense of, every time something happens, that memory will be brought up, whether it was good or bad. You are going to have that reminder of, so yeah, can I forgive someone? Yes, because it gives them a peace of mind that saying those words doesn't affect me, because my brain will always think of the situation the same way.
That might change in a relationship though.
It might, and that's where I don't have the experience of, I can be very straightforward saying, this is the black and white picture, and this is what I'm going to say with it.
Do you think in a relationship, if somebody cheated on you, would you have that same response that you think you could forgive them?
I can say the words, I forgive you, but my action doesn't have to say I forgive you. That's the difference.
Would you?
If the peace of mind of the person saying they're sorry, and they want forgiveness, I can say I forgive you, but my action is still, we're not going to be in that relationship. I can give you the peace of mind, I forgive you, but it's not, I have to accept your decision.
That's a good way of saying it.
Like,
no, you're completely right. That's a great way of saying it.
No, it is.
I can forgive someone for their actions, but it doesn't mean
What about forgiving yourself?
But hold on. Why is it always the fucking friends that like haven't been in a fucking relationship that just know?
No, I get that.
Go ahead.
100%. So I know you can like forgive others, right? Like, even if you still feel that, you can still forgive them and have that sense of like, hey, like, I understand. Like, it still affects me, but whatever. Like, I accept whatever had happened. It's the past. I can move on. But how can you do that with yourself? And have you been able to do that with yourself? Because personally, I'm struggling with, I had a friend that died last, 3 days ago. I lifted with him last summer. He worked at the gym that I lifted at, and he got in a motorcycle accident because he was running from the cops, hit a car going over 100, killed him instantly. And I feel guilty personally because I had a conversation with him like a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago, of if I had a bike with no tags in place like he did, I'd run 100%. And he's like, oh yeah, like, I understand that I would too. Like the thing that he ultimately died from was a conversation I had with him that I agreed upon with him, and that maybe it possibly encouraged him to do that, and why he died. Like it's like.
But you're speculating.
It is. I am speculating, but ultimately I feel somewhat responsible for.
And that's okay.
his death.
No, it's okay to have or feel responsible for something, but in a sense of, you said earlier, it's the I don't give a fuck attitude, or it's I don't care. It's not that you don't care about the person, because you did. You held that person in this certain respect.
He was a good dude that didn't deserve to die. So that's what it comes down to. It's like I feel like somewhat accountable for his death because I maybe at some point influenced his decision to run when he was someone pulled him over. And so I feel somewhat guilty of his death because, maybe if I would have never had that conversation with him, he might have never ran.
But now you're playing into the what-ifs of the world, and now...
That's true.
It's his decision.
You're in a war in your own mind.
And I know that's absolute in thinking, but... He decided to do that instead of sit there at the traffic stop.
And then get pulled over, get the ticket for speeding, he decided to run. And
it was a speeding ticket?
He was going faster, cop pulled him over, he switched through the town. The thing is, they didn't release his name, but they mentioned what happened. Motorcycle was attempted to pull over, switched to I-69 traffic, gunned it, hit a car, family, going over 100 and died instantly on the scene. And before I even knew the name, I knew exactly who it was because I talked to this guy. He's the only one that I really knew. There's a few times I have distinct memories of lifting, and it's only me there in the gym, and he worked there. So he come over, when I hit my squat PR. He saw it on the cameras, walked over and said, "Hey man, good shit." As in my squat, someone that I grew up with. I mean, I went to my preschool, we had a daycare type thing, it was called Shamrock Center, but it was basically you go there before school if your parents work early and you can stay there after school. His mom worked there, so I would, every morning when I got there really early because my dad went to work, he would be there, and I'd spend an hour and a half with him before school started, and that was all elementary school. And it was someone that I never was super close with, but I was still friends with enough where I had good conversations, and I feel that my conversation itself had caused him to do the decisions that ultimately left his life.
I'm going to throw it back to a black and white picture for a second, and what I want to say to you, whether you take it or you leave it, it's feel the guilt, feel the thoughts, feel the whatnot, but in the end of the day, the what-ifs aren't going to change, because what happened and what actually did, you won't know the answer to, and you're never going to get the answer. And so letting it eat your brain alive of the guilt and the feelings, it's okay, because that's your feelings, and that's what you're going through. But at the end of the day, you can't be stuck on what if happened, because it's not what if, it's what did happen. And whether that did influence him or not, you don't know, and you won't get the answer. And so taking the time to finally get the acceptance of, I can't change what happened, but I can move on, instead of being so prominent on the what ifs and what I could have changed or what I wish I changed, on just the good memories, will serve you better in the long time run of, this is what I remember, this is what I want to remember, this is how I want him to live forward in my head. Because in the end of the day, the pain isn't what you need, it's the happiness. And he would be happier knowing that you remembered him in such a good light than what if I had had this different conversation, because now you're putting a negative on his memory that isn't needed.
I like that.
You got your legend of him. Because now you got memories of him.
He was a great dude.
So yes, feel the guilt, feel it as long as you need, but at one point it will feel better.
That's very common. and especially with veterans, survivor's guilt.
So
I mean, it's you got your own thing, but like, even if you indulge in the darkest thought of that, of like, excuse me, of like, even if it was your word that like enforced him to do it, like that's probably the darkest thought that you could take out of that. Is that
I have some
even-
sense of guilt.
yeah, even if it was that.
Like, yeah, it is a big what if.
It
But what
is.
if?
It is
He
their
thought that.
choice. Because, like, I could go out and tell somebody to kill themselves, but it's their choice to do that or hopefully not do that.
Yeah, but the same part is that's shitty of you saying that, and that might invigorate some type of feeling for them to actually do that. And that's how I feel. That same sense of, fuck. I had that conversation with him about doing the exact thing
But you
he died from.
Do it
But this goes
in
back.
in a malicious intent.
This goes back to the whole big picture. It's the authentication of yourself. Of you now have an experience where something did come out. Something happened after a conversation, and it was an outcome you don't like. Will you have conversations moving forward like that, not knowing the outcome of what could happen a day from now? It's something you can grow and change from, rather than every single time it happens, you going, oh shit, you're not grasping what was shown to you.
Learning from it rather
Yeah.
than hurting from it and not moving forward.
Because if you go in the same cycle, you'll feel more pain than you will if you grow from learning from every little thing. And it takes someone else. It's not something I will ever say you will discover yourself looking at it. It takes talking in a group or whatnot to someone who can realize it and give you that output of it wasn't your choice that affected it. You might not like the puzzle pieces leading up to it, but that's something you can control,
Yeah.
not the outcome. Because 90% of the time when we make, I keep saying 90% of the time, I don't even know statistics.
That's a good percentage.
I like the percentage. I like 90% because there's 10% of
That's
bullshit.
2 standard deviations above normal, so 90% is pretty good.
like 90% of the time when you make a decision, there is that 10% you don't know what's going to happen.
10% confidence.
Stop.
No, it's 10% of this can go really fucking well or it can go really fucking shitty.
I was referring to theory of engineering.
It's terrible.
10% confidence intervals and it's 2 standard
The
deviation
most useless
bullshit.
fucking class.
Probability fucking sucks, guys. I'll just give that out.
I do have to say, like she said, it's gonna come down to a loop because you're gonna keep looping, like you probably have been, and especially if something similar happens and somebody asks you a question like, I wasn't handing it, but okay.
Change my perspective.
I
of
just
that.
wanted to
You
see
can't-
if I could
You can't have it be where you get asked a question similar and you're like, oh my gosh,
You said the same response.
I can't answer it the same because then that's gonna happen. It can't come down to
It
that.
won't.
Think about it that way.
I'll probably.
It can't come
Okay.
down to that.
Honestly, if someone asked me the same thing, like, oh yeah, like. I don't remember.
What if somebody asked you the exact same thing again tomorrow?
I would say
Yeah, what would you say?
the idea of running.
How would you change it?
So, okay, the context of this situation is I remember the conversation I had with him is I don't remember how it started exactly, but it came down to whether or not if you have no registration, if you're running a fast bike, would you run? In my idea, yes. But only yes if you can fully control the bike. And then also if someone asked me that same question, I would say I personally, yes, would. I would run. I would go as hard as I can. I'd push it, but only if it's not like crazy traffic if I've had experience on my bike, and 2, I'd also give them the perspective of, I've said yes before, however, but I've had a friend that has passed from that same situation. And maybe by saying that would give them perspective of, oh shit, well, that person didn't make it, so I shouldn't. But ultimately, that's how I still stand, is like...
Would you also perhaps phrase the fact that it was a speeding traffic stop and not, I'm gonna shoot you, you should run for your life type of thing?
Michigan State has this really stupid fucking law where if there's a bike that's you try to pull over and they take off, you don't pursue them. Because that reason is so the family cannot sue the police station in the event that that motorcyclist dies. Which is a really fucked up law because for some reason, even though the state cop stopped pursuing him and stopped following him, he still felt they were following him and still going after him. Because if they did not, I don't know what his initial speeding was. Maybe 90 and a 70, maybe 80 and a 70. I don't have any idea. Driving on the highway, or maybe even back road. Got on the highway, cop was chasing him. Switched highways, and that's when he was crashing over 100, hit a car. And so, like, he had that urge to go that fast because he felt he was gonna get pulled over. So I honestly, even though they say they stopped pursuing, I have a personal feeling that that state cop did not stop pursuing.
But you're
it's speculation.
It's again speculation, but at the same time, it's like this comes down to the law thing. If that cop knew he was speeding and he would run, he'd have a plate. Let's say he flipped his lights on because he didn't have a plate. That automatically alerts that driver. Even if their law is to not pursue, why the fuck would you even flip the light on in the first place? Yeah, I get it, he's speeding. But ultimately, by causing that fear, that enticement of, oh my god, I have to get away because I'll get thrown in jail if I don't, get away, that ultimately led to maybe his fate of,
it was also his choice to speed, though.
It was.
His decision to do that. You were not involved in this. You were not involved in this action at all.
That's true. I didn't call him and tell him, yeah, do that.
But even if you did, even if you held a gun to his head and said, go do it, or I'm going to kill you, it's his action to do that or not.
That's a poor analogy.
That's poor analogy, but still, to the most extreme extent.
I know.
Actually, there could be more extreme extents, but I'm saying.
I get what you're saying.
It's his action.
It is his action. But it wasn't that extreme. That's the point.
It was not, and he was just okay. What it is, he's just living life, and decided, oh, I like speeding. I like going fast. Hell, I want to be a fucking fighter pilot. I want to go Machs of past the speed sound barrier. I like speed. I agree. The speed limit, that system should be relooked on, and Germany maybe should be a proctor for that look. But he's just living life, decided to go fast. That happened.
Now, you could have reoccurring outcomes. You could have reoccurring similarities. But every time you make that choice or the decision not to, that choice and that answer or response is different. It's never the same because it can't be the same. Because something that happened 60 seconds ago didn't exist.
Yeah.
It's
And
the past.
you can say the past is in the past, but the past is influential.
It is.
And
so is the future, though.
The future is the unknowing, and so putting a capsule on the future is the future isn't exactly what I would strive for as a person. My biggest thing is the time that I'm in right now. And if I want something in the future, if I have a big picture or I have a goal or whatnot, that's great, but that's not what defines me. Because
no, it does.
not even that. I don't even think that's what defines me. Because I can say all these things, I can mean all these things, but at the end of the day, when it's just me by myself, you are a different person than you are socially with someone else. You physically, in my eyes, cannot express what goes on in your head when you are truly by yourself as you can when you are with people. Because
That's a social thing.
you socially and you personally adapt to how you're going to respond.
Yeah.
Whether you
At
want
least
to be authentic or not to your true self, you want to say, you won't because you can't. For you to be...
Depends.
No, you're still going to adapt. You run something through your head.
I mean, there is a filter, like, I'm not going to say certain things.
But then you're not being authentic because you
You're
have
right.
something
Well,
going through your mind.
But do
but
I
you are
want
going
to
to
say something, like, if it's evil, I'm not going to go out. You're right, it isn't authentic.
I will second on
But
that.
but back to the core thought, am I actually evil? Like, do I actually
No.
believe that? It's just, I would think that's funny. Some people wouldn't. Some people would think it's authentically funny. You already know what I'm fucking thinking. I don't even have to fucking say it. Some of my humor doesn't match certain people. See, I understand what you're saying.
But that's how you adapt. It's not how you're expressing yourself. It's like...
But what if you feel so who you actually are? You find people that you truly can be yourself. That person that you are when you're by yourself. You don't have to feel any shame. You don't have to feel any guilt.
That's the
You don't
goal.
have to feel any
That's the goal.
repercussions for being who you actually are.
That's
and
the
expressing
difference.
that with your friends or that is who I view as a friend group.
That's the big difference between our viewpoints. You're trying to say, or what you've been saying, is you're being okay with yourself. And it takes risk, in our viewpoint, to be ourselves no matter what.
So you're saying...
And I'm going to, regardless, in our school, do what it takes to fucking get a piece of fucking tree that tells other people that I can go work for $85,000 a year.
I want to go back to in a group setting if you're friends like we are right now.
Go ahead.
You're saying that when this is all said and done, the video's stopped and we've walked away and we've all gone our little separate directions for the rest of the night. Neither one of you go back and replay the conversation in your mind.
Because I'm my true self and I trust what I say.
No,
I look at it because I edit
He does. I don't.
But see, this is where it could be a little bit of a difference. I'm not saying it's a gender thing, but it could.
I mean,
every conversation...
maybe if something really intrigued me, then I'll, like, think more on it.
No, in general, any conversation, even when I've interacted with you guys in the kitchen or, like, just in general, every conversation I have that day is a playback before I go to sleep.
Really?
Really?
I
That's
sit through,
interesting.
and it's, like, one of those things that I can't shut it off. Because there's something that sticks in my head that I need to replay that conversation. It's not that I regret something. It's that every time before I go to bed, the key moments of that day, now like the miscellaneous thing, like you scaring the shit out of me this morning, probably is not something that's going to run back through my mind. But a conversation of us talking about the silverware,
Why? You don't know?
If I knew the answer, but see, this is where
See, this is why you remember things, and I just like...
Context, I have to tell him things 3 times before it even gets close to being remembered.
I don't listen to things most times.
But, no, like, so that's the difference. So, like, when I'm making the reference to all of this stuff when I go to bed...
Is it that you're anxious?
No, I don't... Most of the time, it's not even I feel anxious about something. It's like, that's what happens. I go through before I settle.
When you say replay, what do you mean exactly?
Like, for example, yesterday. We'll go through, I could tell you play by play what I did yesterday because when I went to bed, I was replaying the conversation I had with a friend. I was replaying the exam I took. I was replaying my choice I made when I was late. or the choice I made when I gave out a red card at the soccer game I officiated yesterday. Those were all impacted choices that either not only impacted my decisions that day, but it changed someone else's life.
So you replay the things that you have done that have made a difference?
A difference or didn't make a difference.
You know
it's
what?
like all
I think actually,
it's like a reflection of the day. Like I don't know else how to describe it, but like that's where like anytime I have a conversation, like tonight, I'm telling you right now, when I go to sleep, this whole conversation will go back through. It won't mean like I regret saying anything. Sometimes there is stuff that
you're
I
just
regret.
thinking about it.
It's
not that there's an emotion to it. It's just you're thinking about it.
No,
You think about
like,
it before you go to bed, though.
Yeah, like every single time.
I think
some things
we're
carry a little
correlating
more emotion.
We're correlating it because this is how we're correlating it. Because when we think about something when we go to sleep, it's emotional. There's an emotional energy or connection to it. At least
I'd say more.
me.
Yeah, sometimes the prime stuff that pops in my head first do have
Yeah.
emotions to them,
Really?
but in the
It's
thing, it's so
if
reflective.
I'm thinking about something without emotion, it's like, oh wow, I lived in the present. And that's what I was about to say is that's something that I strive for is like I'm trying to live in the present and fully just understand things that you say and people say around me. But it's hard because I'm just like stressed with something or I'm thinking about something else or I'm just
But that correlates
because I
into
try
how
to be
all
passionate about something. And it's like I would like to attach emotion to these cool things, but I also try to detach from that such that I can fully experience it.
But that's how
Like
all
you're
three
saying.
of us are different. Is I don't live for the emotion. I don't connect the emotion to
That's what I'm
everything.
trying. Yeah.
And it's not a good thing, and it's not a bad thing.
I'm not
It's
trying
one of those,
not to. It's just
No.
it's what I've lived
It's
with.
one of those that since I've started college, I've had to try to attach emotion way more. If you had met me in high school, I was a total different person. I, in some aspects, would be described as kind of a borderline robot. Like, I was very loud and outgoing, yes, but I didn't fully connect other people's emotions to impacts of things I said or did
That's
or
fine.
whatnot.
Honestly, great.
Honestly, maybe that's more perspective based because I'm more introverted. And I, rather than retrospective looking at things in the past, I look at things present moment of like that whole playing back. I do that as I'm about to. Like I do it present tense right before. Yeah, you're good. Right before I'm about to make whatever statement or, engage in that conversation or whatever it may be. I play it through my head right before I do it, rather than afterwards look at it.
Yeah, see, I can't play it before. Because
I'm
I
like
just
more
don't have it.
prospective, you're more retroactive.
I don't know
Retrospective?
the word. No, retrospective is like...
It's looking back at things of previous times, which in this case, I mean, it's not really far back, but it's still of the day that you have had. You save everything till the end to look back and review. I review right before I do the things and make sure it's what I align with, and then I don't think about it again. Like when I go to bed, I don't think about
stuck in my head. Like
stuff
Garrison
wrong.
can contest to this. I will have something, and I will have the same conversation with someone 3 days in a row, and it will take me until the person says you've already had this conversation with me to go. I have been pondering this for days, and it's like it could be something simple like the jeans. I have been thinking those jeans or the Carhartt pants.
The Carhartt jeans.
They came in 4 days ago, Eric. I still haven't returned the other one because I've been in this indecisive battle if I was keeping one size or the other. All for the probability of if I wash them, they might shrink.
They're Carhartt, so they won't shrink.
They're 97% cotton and they don't say pre-shop.
Yeah, they're not. But the cotton...
They're women's cut, and I have not read any reviews.
I don't think they'll shrink.
Like
they
there's
might
this whole...
ever so slightly, but I don't think they'll shrink. Carhartt's pretty good.
It's
They're
taken me
oversized.
4 days of like having the same conversation with different people to come to the realization I'm gonna take the size that I wanted.
With
anyways.
Carhartt though, I wear XL everything except for Carhartt. I wear large because they run oversized. Even my large Carhartt
Oh, see,
wears
I
one
ordered-
size larger than my XL.
I ordered based on reviews a certain size and they came in way too big, so then I had to size to my true size, and it was just I don't know. It's interesting, but it's like I don't know. It's realizing that we're like that was a prime example right there that you both are very more emotional based on decisions, like when you were talking about your friend that passed.
We went over a lot of topics, but I think it's spurred for more deeper discussions in the future. But we're gonna wrap it up there. I apologize to cut it short, but I don't know, got more space on that card. Thanks to Eric and thank you to Ashley for input tonight. And this is episode 2 on Kintsugi Crew of Authenticity. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.